Nigeria tonight. I greet you all. It's been a while. I hope you're all doing good, and I want to continue to wish that everything goes well with you every time. My name is Shegolo once again, and it's a fantastic time with everybody here. Well, before bed, I just decided to share this story with everybody. Quite a number of people believe in what Yoruba calls atuboton. I don't know what was the closest translation for it in English language, but let me just say karma. Okay, so let me just share this story. If it's not useful for you, it might be useful for somebody you know, and it might be useful for your other kinds of interactions or engagements in future. Growing up, some of the things they used to teach us or lecture us on morality, ethics, good behaviors, values, cultures, and all were storytelling. So stories still work effectively if you do not overlook it as kilo and bear. But some will say story, but well, we're told stories to build moral fabrics in this society and in this part of the world. So they still work. If you have young uh, children or youngsters around you, and you really need to build them up, telling them some stories like this help them to uphold uh, positive values. So let me just delve into the story straight. This is a true life story, and it's happened to, I mean, within the um, precinct of police officers in Nigeria. So the story goes thus: it was shared to me by somebody on the bus. I actually wanted to record the person, but the person said no. It turns out it's like this. Some people find themselves in mute that they really can't share the story with persons they know or persons they live within the same area, closet, or vicinity. Ọ̀rọ̀ kan débẹ̀ ni. How do I express that in English language? Some of you who understand English language, some of you who are Yoruba English people. How do you say ọ̀rọ̀ kan débẹ̀ in English language? Can you kindly volunteer by um by way of comment? Ọ̀rọ̀ débẹ̀. I was on public transport. I was in public transport when somebody actually shared this. Ọ̀rọ̀ débẹ̀, but the person wasn't willing to show his face because I asked the person if he doesn't mind. I record him to tell the story so that we could use it to assist people who need such stories to guide their decisions in future or their behaviors. But the person was too shy. He said, "No, I don't want." In fact, that he even told us the story on the bus was because Orodebe. What is Orodebe in English language? So let me just tell you the story. Now, this is it. The man, and if you're watching, if you are still up, you're watching, just do a comment. I just want to know if this simple mic, I mean, this earphone mic is working. If you can hear me, just indicate, please. So I can know that the audio is working well because it's a new system. My system got burnt. Yeah, I just got another one. I'm just trying to see how it works while sharing the story at the same time. So the setup, I don't know if everything is right already, but if you're watching, I just want to be sure that everything is working perfectly. Thank you so much. So let me continue the story. Now the story goes thus. Thank you so much, Anthony, and you're welcome. On no dey sleep. You just sit down there, what you hear? Okay, make I gist you. But it's a true life story. I'm not joking. Ambrose, you never sleep. How you dey? Well done. So let me go ahead. Um, the person was actually a police officer, and then one day, a rich guy, was driving, and he hits a victim on the road. After hitting the victim down on the road, the victim died. So, people saw them, who saw them, rushed the guy to the hospital, and the guy gave up. So they involved the police so that they could take up the guy who hits the victim down. Of course, the rich guy spoke with the police. We come, you know, whatever it's going to cost, please just let me off the hook. I know, yes, I fumbled. Well, whatever you guys know you can do, I'll pay. Just give me a bill, you know. So he paid. He paid his way out. Now the police who took money from him. The police then wanted to find a way to, you know, get him off the hook. Of course, the dead is already dead, so justice can be transacted at that point. For them in Nigeria, things happen. So the superior police officer then told the IPO, who was a junior officer to him, that go and buy. He instructed him, go and buy spirit alcohol and find a way to just rub it on the dead guy's mouth. Just pour it in his mouth, just rub it, so that whoever comes will just tell them, go and perceive he died of alcohol. He was drunk and was wandering on the road, so he got knocked down by a speeding vehicle. You understand? So they wanted to implicate the victim, the deceased guy, that, oh, it was not the driver's fault. It was the fault of the dead guy because he was drunk and was wandering on the road. So when the families of the dead guy came around, the deceased guy came around and said, well, our own man, we know him very well. He doesn't drink. So wherever the story about whether he was drunk and was roaming on the streets when he got hit or knocked down by a vehicle, is not a story you can sell to us. The police said, well, but you perceive it. Now, this is where the story is. The junior officer who was instructed to do that thing rejected. He said he will not do it because he doesn't want that in the course of doing police work, he has to lie or he has to do some shady things. He doesn't want to do it. So, because of that, the junior officer who was the IPO assigned to the case resigned. He did not get involved. Now, it was the superior officer who had to do it by himself. Yeah, he did it. The superior police officer did that thing by himself. The junior officer resigned. He didn't want to be involved in any shady deals throughout his service. But unfortunately, something truncated it, and it was this case. So the guy resigned and left the work. But the superior officer went ahead to do it. The families of the deceased guy, came around and said, well, we are not going to take. The rich guy was even offering to pay that whatever amount the family was going to take, that despite that the guy was said to be drunk and roaming the street, he was still going to pay the family some compensation. But the family rejected that. No, our own guy doesn't. Till the point of death, we are sure we can stand confidently to say that he never tasted alcohol all his life, and we cannot buy the story that he was drunk. So the suspected foul play rejected all they said at the station and went back home. They took their corpse and went to bury. They also rejected offers by the rich guy and the police to compensate the family. They said, you can hold your compensation. We don't want. All we just want to assure you is that there's going to be repercussion, especially as we are sure that you lied. So they went back. It was about a year passed later, just several months after. I'm just approximating, say around a year, that the superior police officer who went ahead to make it look like it was the victim that was at fault, he had 5 children. He lost 4 under mysterious circumstances in about a period of 2 months. Like every 2 weeks, he was losing one child. So the wife went to pray about it, that this is mysterious. I can understand if it was just sheer accident that we lost one. But it is now becoming suspicious that almost every 2 weeks we lose one child. So after she went out to pray, so after prayers, fervent prayers, she was told that um their father, I mean the husband, was the one who caused this. Yoruba call it akufa. I don't know if there's any English word for it. One death leading to several others, like spiraling. So that, but that the culprit of all of this mysterious death in the family was the father, the man, the police officer, that he had committed some heinous acts, that the repercussion was what was happening to the family in form, consequence. So by the time the woman got back home and told the man that you have to check your heart, you have done something wrong, and that is what's happening. So they then told the woman that if you want the last child, the remaining child, to survive, you have to leave the home and separate from the man. So that was how the woman then decided, instead of losing the last one, I'll just leave. So she took the last child and escaped. Now, the culprit who knocked the victim down the other day already paid the policeman off and left. No, he went. Nobody knew anything about the guy anymore. But it is the police officer who took money, took bribe, and manipulated the case that bore all the brunt at the end of the day. I'm telling you a true life story because the person who shared the story actually happened to be the IPO who refused and resigned because of his or of the because he didn't want to involve in it. He had to go and use all the savings to buy a bus. He became a downfall driver. Yeah, it was the person who shared the story. So he shared a true life story, but he wasn't willing to come on camera to say it. But I felt like these are stories that we should be using to teach people morals or morality. Like, you have to let people know that there are still consequences. There is still karma. So it doesn't matter how long you think you are enjoying or you have taken money for something you know is not worth it, something you know is not right. If you like, leave that vicinity, travel out of that country, go and enjoy. The time of reckoning will come. Some of these stories were the things that built our own moral fabrics growing up. They told us several stories. Some of them will instill fear. Some of them will, guide you. Some of them will shock you, and then you want to avoid such consequences in future. Those were the kind of stories that built our own kinds of, minds then and our morality. I don't know if people still share such stories today, especially to their children who are growing up. We are in a very sensitive age now. The generation we are into now is even more sensitive than before. In fact, they need to hear more of these stories. We need to make them understand that karma still exists, that there are still consequences for actions and behaviors. So that is the story. And I mean, I had a very long day. It was tedious, but I just felt like no, because once I wake up tomorrow, I'm off to another thing altogether because there's a whole lot of things to do. There are so many activities and projects. So I may forget. So that's why I decided I must share this story before I go to bed. It may not be for you, but don't forget this story because you might need it somewhere, all right, to guide somebody or to help somebody or to sensitize somebody. Just these are the stories we need to always have handy when we want to make sure that we let people understand or know that there are still consequences that follow some actions that they feel they could just do arbitrarily and get away. Or, yeah, you may think it's impunity today, but it is consequences for you tomorrow. Yeah, impunity today, consequence tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just the story in brief. I'm going to see you later. I leave with you. I leave you with, and I leave with you this message um, said by Adiola Fayon. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. I love you
Inspired
all.
by this man's story, even though he's paying us to talk about the ad. But before we get to the ad, ladies and gentlemen, please meet Mr. Abiodun Akinyemi, a man who is looking to solve the big chunk of the housing crisis that we have in Nigeria by making affordable, self-sufficient homes. This kind of homes are becoming more and more popular, by the way, because they are efficient and they are environmentally friendly, and then it costs less to make them if you think about it in the long run. Anyway, before I tell you about the smart homes that he's building, let me tell you a little bit about his story. He's based in Canada right now, and he decided to build a house in Lagos, Nigeria, where he's from. But upon making inquiries, the cost of building a house has increased significantly since he moved to Canada. So instead of using concrete brick throughout his construction, he substituted it with laterite, and he was able to save 30% of the construction cost. Laterite has a lot of advantages, by the way, including warming your home during the cold weather, cooling your home in the hot season. It's cheaper because it's readily available. It's everywhere in Nigeria. It has high clay content, which means it can hold more water. Laterite gives you better air quality. So if you build your house with laterite, you can breathe in better air quality. You can even recycle it. So if you build a house with laterite and you don't like it, you can break down the house and use the brick to build another house. And that's just to name a few of the advantages. But he didn't stop at building his personal house. He decided to make his house self-sufficient, off-grid, which means that he's not going to be dependent on the electricity from the Nigerian government. So he's using solar power, and he's also not going to be using power generators, so there will be no noise, no air pollution. At the same time, he's not using the regular sockaway that everybody uses in Nigeria. He's disposing his own waste material by decomposing it, and he's generating his own water. So once the house is completed, he doesn't need anything from them. And this is why they call this home self-sufficient, off-grid homes. That alone inspires me. The fact that he was able to find an alternative to just spending so much money on building a house. And the fact that he doesn't have to depend on the government, he made himself a self-sufficient house. That is the inspiration for me. But then he took it a step further. So after learning from his own experience, he wants to do the same for others, except that he wants to do it better. If you see the picture of the house, you may not be too impressed by the aesthetic, but he calls this the experimental house, because what he has decided to do is to now mass produce this kind of house for other people. In case anybody out there is interested in having a house that will be self-sufficient, he has bought acres of land in Lakwe beachfront in order to construct an off-grid estate. And what you guys are seeing is what he would be constructing. All these houses would not be using NEPA, and they will be constructed with laterite bricks. If anyone is interested, he's looking for 10 people, just 10 people to start out. The price starts at 34 million naira for 3 bedrooms, and you can pay in installments. He has a contract readily available, readily prepared, which you can share with your lawyer to know if that's a good deal or not. I mean, some people may feel like that's a lot of money, but it's a one-time payment that you no longer have to worry about electricity bill. You no longer have to worry about paying them to empty your sock away and stuff like that. It's a one-time payment that you know that from beginning to end, you know your house is complete and self-sufficient. Anyway, I asked him, by the way, I said, what if someone is interested right now and they decided to pay you, and along the way they decided they're no longer interested, they don't like what they are seeing? And he said to me that your money is refundable, as stated in the contract. He said he will give you back 95% of the money, and the remaining 5% is for administrative charges. He's using a system of interlocking bricks instead of the traditional style of construction. And this system results in a house that is 10 times stronger than traditionally built house, and also more terminally efficient. Each home would have its own fire system and will be conveniently located by a fire hydrant in order to make it easier for fire crews to help just in case of an emergency. We'll be building common areas that will have a gym, a playground, swimming pool, ball courts, grocery stores, and so on and so forth. And more importantly, the houses in his estate will reduce global warming and human carbon footprint. So guys, if you're interested, please check him out. This is his website.